The movie starts with James King crying hysterically. 1 month earlier, James was an extremely wealthy hedge fund manager engaged to his gorgeous gold-digging fiancée Alyssa. His car washer Darnell is married to Rita and trying to put their daughter in a better school away from the bad neighborhood they live in. James meets Darnell when the latter accidentally frightens James in the parking lot because he assumed Darnell was going to rob him when he just wanted to give his keys to him. James makes a speech about how he got his success, and to inspire Darnell to go for his, he pulls out a big wad of cash only to pull out 2 singles as a tip for Darnell. Alyssa hosts an engagement party for herself and James. She gives him an electric guitar as a gift and she invites John Mayer up on stage to perform. James performs alongside Mayer momentarily until the cops storm in and arrest James for fraud and embezzlement. James' lawyers Peter urges James to go for a guilty plea, but he refuses and instead insists that he will be saved. Instead, everybody that lost money in the embezzlement scheme is out for James' head. The judge finds him guilty and sentences James for 10 years, with only 30 days to get his affairs in order. His assets are frozen and he is placed under house arrest. He cuts off the ankle bracelet and tries to flee the country. He drives to a country club to get Alyssa to go with him, but she says that she has left him and decided to move on. The police then show up and get James. James asks his boss and Alyssa's father Martin for help. James encounters Darnell once more in the parking lot, expressing his fears over going to prison. He asks Darnell how he managed in prison, simply assuming he was incarcerated because he's black. An outraged Darnell reminds James that he will most likely be made someone's bitch once he gets to prison. With that in mind, James begs Darnell to teach him how to toughen up if he wants to survive in prison. Darnell demands payment in the form of $30,000. James agrees to this. Darnell, who has a little idea of how to act tough himself, tries to put a facade of his own to convince James that he can show him how to prepare himself. He calls up his cousin who did go to prison and asks him what went down. To start his training, Darnell pepper sprays James upon arriving at his home. He tries to get James to become intimidating with his mad dog face, but James can only do sad dog. Darnell tests James in fighting back by creating scenarios in which he must defend himself. He makes James pick fights at the park only for James to get his ass kicked multiple times. James gets in touch with Martin and says he's getting help. Martin, who is actually crook, thinks James is onto him and orders his lawyers and a hired gun named Gael to take care of the business. With little time left and even less improvement, Darnell figures that James has to learn how to perform oral sex in prison. They go to a gay hookup spot for James to find a man to suck off. He can't go through with it and tells Darnell that he will keep going and do whatever it takes to get hard. They leave as the man applauds them. James starts to work out harder and faster. He starts to make shelves just in case, and he keeps ones in his anus just in case. Darnell simulates a prison raid with the help acting as inmates. In the chaos, James gets a shiv stuck in his head. Darnell drives James to the home of Rita, who gets the shiv out. He has dinner and listens to Darnell make up a story of how he went to a prison. Rita asks Darnell why he can't just find the rental criminals to help James. Mere days before his prison time, James and Darnell resolve for James to join a local gang to protect him in prison. James dresses in a ridiculous outfit that gets unwanted attention. Darnell's cousin Russell runs the gang and isn't convinced that James can pay him and knows that Darnell is lying about prison. James does help the gang gain interest in finance and stocks. Darnell drives James to a bar where the elegance of white gang is. James is unable to be a convincing racist, leading the white supremacists to think he's a cop. They nearly burn his face with a motorcycle tire until Darnell rescues him by bursting in with a flamethrower. Darnell realizes James is innocent and they conclude that Martin is the crook. They sneak into his home and find the embezzlement records on Martin's old computer. Unfortunately, Gael finds them and takes the computer back after telling James that Darnell has a clean record and never actually went to prison. James feels betrayed and leaves the garage. James returns to the old gang with the intention of joining. For his initialization, they want him to kill someone. Darnell arrives in time to stop him and convinces him to catch Martin and expose him. The two find Martin's yacht and sneak on board. They grab the computer only to come across Gael and more hitmen. James unleashes a series of moves on the goons while Darnell protects the computer. Martin comes out and confesses to the crime, while Alyssa steps out and admits that she got in on the scheme. The guys try to get out on the life raft until Gael shoots it out. James pulls out a gun he kept in his ass and aims it at Gael until the cops show up just in time. Martin, Gael, and Peter are all arrested. James is arrested and stupidly pulling out the concealed weapon, but he only serves for 6 months. He helps the police return the stolen money and decides to give Darnell money to expand his car wash business. In the final scene, after the 6 months are up, Darnell goes to pick James up from the prison. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comment section below which movie you want us to recap next. As always, until the next time.